Okay, I want to respect people's time. Welcome everybody to the Youth Studies info session. We're very excited to talk to you today about our program. And my name is Sarah Zeller-Berkman. I'm the Director of Youth Studies Programs here at the CUNY School of Professional Studies. I'll pass it over to my colleague, Professor Bernard.
Hi, everyone. I'm Associate Professor Regina Bernard, and I'll pass it on to Shanira.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. I am Shanira Rojas, Academic Program Coordinator for Youth Studies and also alum of the MA program, class of 2018.
So we're going to talk today about the MA in Youth Studies and the Advanced Certificate. And then, I'll give you an overview very briefly about CUNY SPS. Then we'll talk about the two programs, and then we can answer any questions that you have for us. Just a little bit about CUNY SPS. We're one of the newer CUNYs, but still have about 2 decades under our belts. And it was the home of CUNY's first fully online degrees. We have very high-ranking programs here at CUNY SPS, online bachelor's programs. The psychology program is 4th in the country. And we also have a bunch of very innovative programs. So the MA in Youth Studies was the first of its kind in the tri-state area. We have disability studies, which was groundbreaking, applied theater, in addition to, incredible business programs, psychology, nursing, data science, etc. We are really a school that is geared towards adult learners, people that are workers, people that wear many different hats. And so there is a flexibility, an acknowledgement of people, doing this on top of their work lives, and a culture of care here. We also partner really closely with industry and various sectors. For us, it's the nonprofit youth serving sector, to make sure that our content is really catered for people that are working in that space or want to work in that space.
And that said, our target students, as Sarah was just sharing, are frontline youth workers, supervisors in youth programs, youth active advocates and activists, administrators, program managers, program officers in youth serving agencies, organizations, or foundations, and graduates of BA or BS programs in human services, education, social work, psychology, public administration, childhood studies, and related fields. I'll also just add that while these are the target students, there are other students who come from a variety of programs, and some who have never worked with youth before, but are interested in the field, and so have really found the program to be a stepping stone for them.
And through our research, we've seen an increase for master's level roles from a BA, to an MA. We've seen amounts ranging from 55,000 to 110,000, but that also depends on the organization and the position that someone would be going for. But we have definitely seen increases there, as well as promotions and higher level positions in youth servicing organizations, city agencies. It also gives the opportunity for our alumni to be able to teach at the undergraduate level in our BA in Youth Studies program. This is in our Alumni Spotlight. This is Mia. She's actually from my cohort. And when I met her, she was working at the city level, and through this program, and after graduation, she was able to get a promotion and was working at the national level, and is now currently working for a family foundation, the Johnson Family Foundation. We've seen many folks come to this program and able to network and use their resources and the learnings that they've taken from this program and elevate their careers. This is also Allison Cook, class of 2019. She was able to take her capstone and put it into practice. She works for the Department of Transportation and used her capstone as an option, as a resource when she was working on a hands-free playground And that's so important, especially during the time of COVID, right? It allows children to be able to still have fun in a safe way. I'm going to pass it over to Sarah. She's going to talk about the degree structure.
Okay, so, even pre-pandemic, we were thinking about ways to make the program more accessible to people that couldn't necessarily come in person for a few hours, a few days a week. And so we, in response to the needs and desires of our students, have moved to a fully online synchronous mode, which means that you do have class times where you're meeting with your professors, where you're doing group work with your colleagues, but it is remote. So you're doing it via Zoom, and you can, obviously do it from anywhere. This is a standalone youth studies program. So sometimes youth studies programs are under the auspices of education or social work or psychology, but we are youth studies, and we, of course, still draw on all those disciplines in our work. We are 30 credit masters, which means that you can move through in about 2 years if you're working full-time. So many of our students are working full-time. They're taking about 2 classes a semester, and then if they do a summer or winter course to do electives, they move through in 2 years. We have had people that are going to school full-time. It's rare, but then you can finish within a year. We have 8 required courses and 2 electives. I'll tell you more about the courses in a minute. And the required courses include a practicum, research methods, and capstone. And I'll tell you a little bit more about each of those things. So just, an overview is that in our program, we want to make sure that people have a sound theoretical foundations, but we also want to make sure that they are getting practical skills, knowledge, competency that they could turnkey kind of almost immediately. We want to make sure that people know the social, historic, and political context in which their work with young people sits. And we will also want to make sure that they have the most up-to-date, current, promising practices. In our program, we have an explicit commitment to social justice. So what that means for us is that we are really training our students to partner with young people to help challenge status quo in their lives, not necessarily fit young people into things that aren't working for them. And we look at race, class, gender, sexuality, immigrant status, disability in relation to young people's development, and also kind of how they're perceived by the world. And for us, we are grounded in youth development principles and practices. So it means that we have a strength-based approach to young people, to their parents, to community, and we also have a participatory approach. So when you learn about doing program planning, you're really going to learn about how to engage multiple stakeholders in a participatory process to create said program. Or when you're learning about research and evaluation, in addition to kind of traditional approaches, you'll learn about ways of involving young people or other invested parties in doing research and evaluation, because we believe that you have a better product when you have people with multiple perspectives and expertise in the mix. I'll go through this briefly because there's a lot of overlap, but I'll touch on the third bullet. We really want our students to have a sense of local and state and national policies that impact young people or youth workers. We want people to gain, competencies and knowledge around leadership management, evaluation, and capacity building, but also apply those things and then come back to our learning community to talk about what went well, what didn't, how it works in different spaces, et cetera. We also want to support and do support our students to be knowledge generators. And so the people that are on the ground, become scholar practitioners where they're the ones that are being supported to put their research about youth and youth programs out into the world. a little bit more about the required courses. So we have this construction of adolescence course. It really looks at how, that term has been constructed historically, how it shifts based on gender, race, class, etc., and also how it's constantly being reconstructed or co-constructed in people's work with young people today. We have a youth development course which looks at promising practices in healing-centered approaches, some of the brain science, the mind science, the mindset work, some of the social emotional learning, but also how youth development intersects once again with race, class, gender, etc., and how that looks different. We have a youth action agency that's less about young people's development, but really how do you partner with young people to develop the programs that serve them, to develop their communities, institutions, etc. Then our group work class is really from our social work lineage. How do you use yourself as a group worker to support individual development of young people within a group context? How do you change how you work as a group worker in different stages of group development? And our practicum looks a little bit different than you might think of a practicum, for example, in social work. So we're not asking you to work another 15 hours above and beyond your job in a different place unless you want to. And then we have relationships and connections that we can create for you. But we invite people to use their own sites as a learning lab as they're moving through content related to program design, evaluation. How do you work with a board? How do you do fundraising? Things like that. Then we have our research methods class. This is mainly a focus on qualitative methods. And then we have a policy course, and then we have our capstone. And the capstone can look a variety of different ways, but you can do original research about either something that has been a through line for you throughout the program, or is something that you didn't feel like you went deep enough in your studies and you kind of want to take this deep dive, or you want to be known for some of the work at the intersections of youth development and whatever it is that you are interested in. And we also have people that choose to study their own journey in this program. So do kind of an autoethnography about either their own lives in relation to a topic or looking at their educational experience in this program and how it's shifted their thinking about the topic. So that's the options there. And lastly, we have, a bunch of electives, but you only need two. We have adolescent sexual health, reframing disabilities, criminalization, youth development, community youth organizing. And then, our special topics course always allows us to keep fresh. So if there are things that are bubbling up for students, if there's things that are bubbling up in the world and we want to create a course around that, we can. And then we have independent studies, which is really for individual students. If there's something that you want to study, you can work with a particular professor that can push your thinking in that area or help supervise you, and you can go deep into whatever it is that's driving or of interest to you in that moment. Okay, just want to tell you briefly, the advanced cert is a stackable credential. So it's like the first 4 courses in the master's program. Sometimes people take this because they already have a master's and they don't need 2 masters, but they want to upskill and they want to be part of this learning community. We've had other people that take it because they're not ready to commit to the master's and they just want to see how this feels for them. And then, when you're done with the first 4 courses, you can kind of easily transition into the program. Pass it on to Janira.
Yes, thank you so much. So we wanted to share a little bit about our professors who have both qualifications of being in the field, but also, in academia. We have Regina Bernard Carreño on this call. Sarah Zell Berkman on this call as well as our wonderful professors, Elizabeth Bishop, Whitney Hollins, Labanchu Roy Gardner, Andrea Juarez Mendoza, and we have many more professors that work with us, but they are wonderful, caring, understanding because they know how busy you are, because they're just as busy, right? And they care so much about the field that they want to make sure that they're there to help you with everything that you need. The same way that we as youth workers give so much of ourselves to our young people to make sure they're thriving and they're being cared for, that we're working alongside them. Our professors are the same way. We always ask that students over communicate if anything is going wrong. Professors are willing to work with students if there's a situation, if a student needs an extra day for something. Our professors are empathetic and understanding in that way. They just want to make sure that they're there to help you alongside, whatever is going on. It's a wonderful learning community. It's a really tight-knit community. Everyone is there to help one another. I mentioned earlier that folks have networked in class, and that's helped them get work. Or if they're looking for resources for their young people, there is a plethora of knowledge inside and outside of the classroom. Students have a WhatsApp group that they maintain, no faculty, no staff, and it's a place for mutual aid, for venting, for reminders, because it's really, you're going to need a community to get through to grad school, because it's a lot of work, but it is work worth doing. I'll pass it over to Sarah. She's going to share some of our field building events and our research agenda.
So we have, the credentials that we talked about today, in addition to a BA program that we just launched, but we also really want to be a place to bring the field of youth development together to collectively think, vision, imagine. And so pre-pandemic, we had a state of the field event. We have various symposiums. This year, we did one that was about looking at kind of the relationship between individual and collective mental health, and especially for young people of color, looking at the role of activism in relation to mental health. We have had book talks, both of our professors' books, but also other books in the field that relate to youth studies. We try to take care of youth workers. So we've had, over the past few years, various events that are about kind of taking care of youth workers and supporting people to take care of themselves so they continue to show up for this work. And this past year, we really combined self-care and community care. So got massages, but also engaged in kind of intergenerational dialogue about big issues impacting New York City. So those are some of the things that we do for and with the field. We also have, at any given time, various research projects that are happening, which, if you have an interest, you could join. Sometimes our students are able to get credit or able to get paid for working on these various projects. And many of them do what's called youth participatory action research and or intergenerational research, where those most impacted by whatever issue we're studying or looking at, or people from various vantage points related to that issue, become co-researchers and co-construct whatever the project is, and they do that in partnership with our students. Pass it back.
So although we are meeting in an online synchronous model, we are located in Midtown Manhattan on 119 West 31st Street between 6th and 7th Avenues, and pretty accessible to all trains, Long Island Railroad, PATH, all that good stuff. So if you ever needed to come to the building for an in-person event, or if you needed to speak to the registrar office or the bursar, things of that nature, this is where you would go. But if you do need support, we do. They do have email addresses. So like if you live outside of New York City and can't make it in, there are other ways to get in contact with those different offices at SPS.
And in keeping with the CUNY tradition of lower cost and affordable options for master's degree programs, the in-state tuition is $470 per credit, which per course, that's 3 credits at $1,410 for in-state. Out-of-state is $855 per credit and $2,565 per course.
And these are some of the scholarships that we have available. We just launched our Youth Study Scholarship last year, and we're hoping to continue in that. Students are able to, you must be admitted before you can apply for a scholarship, but it allows, to pay for one class. And if you're taking 2 classes a semester, that's a huge help, right? We also have a bunch of other scholarships, the General Scholarship, the Menlo Marks Scholarship, Mayor's Graduate Scholarship. There's COVID-19 emergency grants if there are any situations. We have laptop loan programs. We also have a program that are for folks working in DYCD funded agencies called DYCD Scholars. There are different requirements and stuff. So I will also be sending this out, and you'll get all the information and be able to click on the links to learn more and to see if you qualify. We'll say, make sure you apply for anything that you qualify for, because I know every bit counts. We also have fellowships with organizations such as Kids in the Game for folks that are looking to build their skills and youth development practices through programs that are centered around sports and creative play. And we also have the New York Edge internship for folks that are looking to go to work in after school programs, OST, out of school time at the assistant program director level. These internships, fellowships are all paid because we know that we want to make sure we're paying folks for the things that they're doing, because they're doing just the same as work as those employed in these organizations. And if anyone has wants more information, they can let us know. We can send you some more information on what is expected and, move forward from there.
And now, how and when to apply. So there are 2 deadlines coming up for fall 2023 admission. The priority deadline is April 6th, 2023, and the regular deadline is May 18th, 2023. And since this PowerPoint will be sent out to everyone, you'll be able to click on the link below to start your application. There are a few eligibility requirements and application elements. So a GPA of 3.0 on a or higher on a 4.0 scale, transcripts from any school attended, even summer programs or study abroad, BA, BS in a related discipline, and I think that's broadly defined. Experience from the field is preferred, personal statement, a resume, 2 letters of recommendation, personal or academic only, so no lateral colleagues, friends, or family. And an individual interview may be necessary as you move through the process.
Okay, I see 2 questions in the chat or in the Q&A. So how long is the program part-time? The part-time, if people go to school and taking 2 classes a semester, it takes 2 years. If you take 4 classes a semester, it takes 1 year. And once again, this is doing like your electives in a winter and a summer, or 2 electives in the summer. Somebody else asked if you could take more than 2 electives. You can, but you don't need it. So it would kind of be going above and beyond your cost for the program. But, definitely if something moved you and you wanted to take it, you would be allowed to. I'll let other people jump in.
Sure. So there's a question saying, how long should the personal statement be? I believe it's like, what is it, like 500 words or more or something to that fact? I'm not sure, but it is a great space to share, information of who you are, what you want to do with this degree, how you plan to use this, any goals. Also a wonderful space to share if there had been a situation that like caused your GPA to be a little bit lower in your undergrad or anything like that, because I know that we did mention a 3.0 out of a 4.0 GPA. If you're slightly lower, I would recommend you still apply because we do interviews. We look at the profile holistically. We look at, we understand that things happen. So just make sure that you have also someone proofread it and go over it. Make sure it's your best work, because graduate level writing is on another level. So you want to make sure you are ready. Any other tips for personal statements, Sarah, Regina? All right.
Thank you.
Will this recording be sent to us? Yes. We will be sending resources out once the video is made available to us with the PowerPoint, all the links, and this recording.
And CUNY SPS students, you could do e-permit and take classes at other CUNYs. We often accept people into our program from other CUNYs. But it's probably going to be more for your elective courses that you would have more flexibility around, because there aren't many master's level classes that hit on the same learning outcomes as our core courses. But yes, there's that availability.
And I believe the fee waiver is available for veterans as well. And you would just click on that during the application process.
Also, I'm not sure if they're still doing this. I know that if you were submitting your application before the like by the priority deadline, you don't have to pay the application fee. Let me just see if I can go back to go to the deadline page so that we all have that. So yes, by April 6th, if you submit your application, you don't have to pay the fee. Also know that make sure your recommenders are in there. Even though if they haven't submitted yet, you can still put it in your application, and then we'll work behind the scenes with you to make sure you get like things like your transcript and your recommendations in. But the main components like your resume, your personal statement, and the actual application and recommender list must be completed before that deadline in order to qualify for the application fee waiver.
And I'm looking at this question about the BA in anthropology. Our funnel is wide open for what people have done before the youth studies program. There is like a checkbox on our rubric that if you have some classes related to children and youth studies or child or adolescent psychology or things like that, that there are some additional points in the rubric that are given. But please, we have people that are coming from BAs in such a variety of different fields and have found themselves in youth work. So don't let it deter you. And anthropology could or would be related if there were things related to young people.
I'll take the teacher question only because I have two teachers currently, and they are able to apply a lot of what they're both learning and what they're bringing from the classroom experience as teachers into the program. I had a teacher last semester as well who was thinking of using the degree not to advance necessarily in the classroom, but to explore youth studies beyond teaching K through 12. So for them, I think they've been having a great experience so far, being able to apply the degree, the learning in progress to the work that they're already doing, and then their expectations for post-graduation.
So someone's pointing out we definitely have to update the website. Yes, because we are remote synchronous right now. So we're not offering in-person Saturday classes in this moment.
And yes, the recording will be sent out after.
So there's a question about an I-20 for the program. I'm assuming that's like a student visa. I know currently at the time, because we are online synchronous, they're not offering, SPS is not offering like student visas at the moment.
I see a question about somebody that already has a different, sorry, it's jumping.
So sorry, I was just clearing.
Oh, no. Oh, okay. What about if you're already enrolled in a different major and taking classes? Can we still register for this master's program? I mean, you should see what makes sense for you. We have had people transfer in from other programs. It's always good if you could see if any of the electives that you've done relate. Just you'll have to decide if it feels like okay for you to maybe have to start over, or which things could could transfer, but you do have to still apply. So many things from your other application will be in our system. It could just come in, but you do have to actually fill in another application. Oh, Shanira, did you want to respond to that one too?
It depends if it's a CUNY SPS program, too. So it varies. And my thought is, are you doing this in conjunction, like both programs at the same time? I wouldn't recommend that because it's a lot of coursework. So it kind of just depends on your situation. But like Sarah mentioned, you would have to fill out another application and submit all those elements as well.
But we have had somebody that did use studies and their law degree.
Yeah.
Time we have. Okay, when will we know for acceptance to the program? It's usually a 3-week turnaround time from when you submit, but everything has to be submitted. So they won't let us begin to review the application until all of your required items are in, and then the admissions committee meets about it, but usually within 3 weeks or less.
And if you are missing things, they let us know, and I reach out to make sure, to see if anything has been submitted, like what's going on, so we can help complete your application so that the admissions committee can start reviewing.
Oh, I'm sorry, Johan, I just saw your your request. I'm so sorry we haven't been saying the questions as we were answering, but the next one is, when would the online classes meet? And it really depends on the class. So we have a schedule for every semester, and some classes meet on Mondays, 6:15 to 9:15. Other classes, meet. We generally try to keep it to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And between 6:15 to 9:15, but yeah, we have had some Saturday classes, not in person, but longer Saturday classes remotely. This question is going back to paying tuition. Can Grad Plus loans be applied for to pay tuition? Does anybody know?
I think private loans will, yeah, right?
I'll go on the website and send the
Because I know it's a specific loan,
1 second.
but I don't know if it's the Grad Plus loan. Because you have to go through, the tutorial and do the promissory note, and then fill out another application for a loan.
Any other questions that are bubbling up for people? Oh, yeah, the recording will be sent out.
Tuition website, financial aid and tuition.
Thank you so much.
Find some loans.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So once the recording is uploaded to our YouTube page, I'll be sending that. It usually takes like a few days. And we'll send that out with all the materials and links and how to apply and our contact information should like anything else pop up for you. So for scholarships, for the CUNY SPS scholarship, it is one course that scholarship covers. For the other ones, we'll send you the link as well. It's also in the chat, and you can see because every scholarship differs.
What is the YouTube page name? That's there.
I'm gonna
You could
copy
like
that
put the
as
link.
well.
Yeah, if
1
you could put
second,
that
yep.
in. Thank you so much, Darren. Yeah, we have a whole YouTube like playlist of youth studies as well. On the SPS YouTube page. I always send that out as well because you can see other videos, testimonials from staff and students. Also links to virtual events we've had that Sarah had mentioned earlier that you can see as well.
Okay, anything else?
Second.
Great. As Shanir said, if anything comes up for you, you have our contact information
I'm just gonna put it up on the screen. so
and you can
everyone
just
sees it.
reach out. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Oh, do students have an advisor? Are you looking at her?
Right here.
Yeah.
So I have a unique experience, I was in your shoes, like thinking about going to grad school, and I took the plunge. It was one of the best decisions I've ever made. One of the best learning communities I've had. I've been in CUNY. I did my associates at CUNY, my bachelor's at CUNY, my master's at CUNY. So I would say SPS was the best experience because CUNY is a very big machine, right? And it can feel really big. You feel like a tiny fish in a huge pond. At SPS, you feel like, there are people that you have dedicated just for you, that care for you, that's willing to help you. And we do that, especially in youth studies, knowing that support is really helpful in the success of our students. So I try to do that. As well as like emailing students. We do advisement every semester. I email students every week with events, job opportunities, important calendar reminders. We're a really tight-knit community. So I'm here to help answer any questions and just, be a sounding board. I even help, students and give them advice on their papers and give them some feedback. Like there's anything and everything we're here for, as well as like Sarah and Regina too.
I answer the question about positions in city government available. So, we've had people that work in the Department of Youth and Community Development. They're either, they have a portfolio of programs they support, or some people were in the capacity building unit. We have had people.
ACS.
Yeah, ACS. Actually, you saw one of the alumni was in city planning, but her work Department of Transportation was more things related to kind of open streets for young people or different things related to youth. So I mean, it really depends. And I think in our program, it's been really interesting because when we started this, it wasn't as clear cut as like nursing, like you get this degree and then you can be a licensed registered nurse, right? Our alumni have really shown us what you can do with this degree, and it's spectacular, and it's varied, and it's all over the map. But for many of the city positions, there's a salary bump when you have a master's. They absolutely require the BA, but it's I think it really depends. And I think we, with Shanira, she's the advisor, the academic advisor, but we also, because we have such a diversity of students that are at different points in their career coming into our program, we have these regular check-ins where it's like, but where do you see yourself after the program? What's your next step? Because then we can mobilize people that are in our alumni network, people that we know out and about in the field, to be able to get our people to their next step, which is going to look very different from their colleagues' next step, right? All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks everyone.